Hey artsy friends, welcome to my second composition notebook art journal series. I'm going to be using some tracing paper today to work on my quote, my wording, which is kind of at the end of the video. It's the final stage. But I know a lot of people struggle with liking their own handwriting. I kind of like everything to feel very organic, authentic, whatever. So it doesn't bother me when my handwriting is imperfect or even my mark making or my drawing or whatever. To me, it's just all part of the process. But if you struggle with that and you want to like make your titles or your words or things just a little neater, I'll show you how to do that at the end with some tracing paper. It's really easy. So to start this page, I'm just collaging. So I'm digging into my old paper scrapbook stash. And then this beautiful tissue paper has cute little bees and butterflies all over it. And it was some packaging that something my daughter ordered came in. I like to tear my pieces up in a big pile before I even start so that I have just about the same number of pieces of the same pattern. And then I've always got more on standby if I don't like the shape or if I want to add some. So I'm finally getting down to the bottom of my Mod Podge. I don't remember how many years I've had it, but it's been a long time. It goes a long way. And overall, I'm pretty happy with Mod Podge. I know that some people don't like how sticky it can be on top. I live in a pretty humid climate and I don't have a lot of trouble with this. And I know there's a wax that you can put over the top of a page so that that doesn't happen. Anyway, it's funny, as I collage around, I do enjoy trying to make it kind of compositionally balanced, even though in the end, I am not going to be able to see very much of the base layer anyway. Which leads me to kind of define, when we talk about collage, there's really two ways to think about collaging in art journaling. It's, if I could simplify it, I would say, do you want it underneath or do you want it on top? So when people make like these amazing, beautiful collage papers and they collage them as part of the visual element that on top, that's like one way to use collaging. And then what I use a lot is this, and that's just building up a base layer so that as you build on top of it, you have areas that kind of peek through, and it also adds some texture underneath. So if you're looking really closely at the page, you can see where the little pieces of torn papers have overlapped. And yeah, so I think it adds something to the page, even if it is mostly covered up. And some people like having kind of rough edges hang out or over the edge. In this particular journal, I like to keep it kind of trim and flush with the edge. And then I like this light blue color, so I'm going to start painting around the page, just covering up some of the background. And as I'm doing that, I'm realizing like I don't want it to be completely opaque where you can't see through the back. So I'm thinning out my acrylic paint a little bit, and it's a little bit difficult with a brush. So I'm just going to get my hands in there and thin it out, wipe it around so that I have kind of a blue base, but I don't want it to be, like I said, I don't want it to totally cover up my background. So I got my paint just maybe a little bit too wet, and so I used a paper towel to dab it, and I like how the texture of the paper towel actually kind of imprints into the paint too. So I'm going to add just some white around my page to kind of lighten up some different areas and bring some more dimension. I really like just finger painting. It's fun. And I like how you can control, like some of the white is really white, and then you can kind of fade it in. So it just makes the whole background kind of blend. And I think my blue paint was pretty much dry at this point, but there's a few areas I think that picked up a little bit of the blue paint, which I am fine with. I think that looks kind of cool. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in a stencil. And I've got these neon paints that are like super bright, kind of fluorescent-y. So I'm gonna make it bright pink to kind of make this stencil pop off the page. So I like how it kind of just frames that side of the page, and I'm thinking I'm going to continue to kind of frame in the whole page. I like that the pattern continues over the edge so that it looks like it's just kind of coming in from, like you're zooming in on something bigger. So I'm going to just continue that around. Stencils are, I have a love-hate relationship with stencils. If you've watched my channel at all, I usually get too much paint and then they smudge. But I'm so impatient and lazy that I don't always take the time to be super careful about that. But actually, I did pretty good on this page, I have to say. So I'm just continuing the pattern around the whole thing. And I think I'm going to put some kind of quote or focal point there in the center somewhere, but I don't know. Oh, and then you can put something over anything that you don't want the stencil to overlap. So I didn't want my previous little circle to get kind of blended or covered up by another circle on top of it. So I just put a piece of paper there so that way it doesn't go on top. That's what masking is. Okay, so now I got some modeling paste out, which is really, really super thick. I usually use this for stenciling, and then I dry it and then like color the stencil or the raised part so it looks really embossed. But I thought I would play around with it to see what I could do, just maybe sgraffitoing, which is I think Italian word for scratch. But it's really not doing anything for me. So I think I would do better by just adding a little white paint, because I know I want to put something there, a quote or something. So I'm just going to create a lighter space so that whatever my quote is will pop off. Okay, next day. All right, so here's where I get into the tracing paper thing. I found a quote that I like that I wanted to put on my page, and I printed it up on my computer. I tried a couple different fonts that I liked. And then this tracing paper you can get, it's super cheap. You can buy it on Amazon and, you know, get like 100 sheets for, you know, I don't know, $8 or something like that. So I'm cutting it down. There's a dull side and a shiny side. You want the shiny side down. And then you want to, once you place it where you want it, you want to take a piece of tape to anchor it in place. Because what happens if you start tracing and then it moves slightly, then it'll look wonky underneath. And I'm using just a regular pencil. It's actually kind of dull, and I want it that way. So I want to, you could use a stylus too, those little tools that have like a little ball on the end. I suppose you could use a sharp one, probably doesn't matter. But I'm just tracing all the words, and then there you can see that it leaves a light imprint right directly on the page. And then I'm going to go in with this permanent marker over the top of the lettering. And so, ta-da, now my quote is like perfectly spaced as if I printed it right off the printer. So this is just maybe an easy way, like if you wanted to vary your lettering style and you're just not quite sure how to do it and you don't want to like take a chance of making it really goofy or something directly on your page. You can actually just cut out the print too. That's always an option. But if you want to actually do the lettering yourself, this is kind of a safe way. And I am kind of shading one side of my pink circle lines so that it looks a little bit more three-dimensional. And I kind of start doing that, and then I hadn't decided if I wanted to do the whole page like that. or just part of it. So in the meantime, I need something else, some other element on the page. So I drew a line there, and I'm using a hole punch and lining up the hole punch directly in the middle of the line. And you'll see why here in just a second. I'm actually kind of creating like a little stencil template. I'm going to make some cute little dingly doodles that are going to look like they're dangling from the top of my page. But I wanted to get the little circles, I wanted them the same size, and I wanted them to line up perfectly. So that's why I created this little template. So now I've got these circles. I'm going to go back with my transparent ruler here, and so I can draw my line just perfectly through, not through them, but in between them. So it looks like they are like dangling down from a rope, a string, something. Yeah, I kind of like that. So I'm going to do it a few times and move the circle pattern around a little bit so they don't look exactly the same. I decided I wanted to bring in just a touch of white on my page, so I'm filling in the circles of my little dangly things. And I put little hearts at the bottom too. I don't know if you noticed that. Looks kind of cute. And then I'm going to go in all of the letters that have enclosed spaces, you know, the R, the E, and not the E, sorry, the A, the O, and filling those in white. And the P. And as you can see, I did go back and finish all of the circles, adding just that like black rim on the inside. And now I'm adding white dots because you can never go wrong with white dots ever. So just kind of bringing it in a little bit more. I debated on doing something a little bit more right there in that area where it's mostly purple, but I have a tendency to go overboard, and I just wanted to kind of keep it a little bit more simple. So that's my page. I hope that you enjoyed watching my process and that it inspires you to go make some art, and that you'll come back and hang out with me again. And until then, have a blessed day.